the African diaspora, and this is a rhythmic thing that you see come up in all these different dance and music forms across the world, including in flamenco, okay? It's the base of the flamenco, the base of the majority of the music in the flamenco canon. So let's do this. We're gonna go, and I'm gonna divide you guys up. Here are the threes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's it. Don't go 3 times, only go 2. Okay, ready? Go. 1, 2. Don't go 3 times. No, just 2 times, just 2 times. Ready? Go. 1, 2. Ready? Go. 1, 2. Good. You guys are the twos. The twos are hard, okay? I don't know, you've done some difficult stuff already today. It may not be. It's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You only do it 3 times. Don't do it 4. Because we're talking about the ratio of 3 to 2. There's no 4. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3. Good. Let's take turns. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. When it's not your turn, don't play. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Good. This is, have you guys studied the hemiola in here?
Not with that name, but we'll talk a little bit about the main, rhythms of bulería and soleá.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so we're doing bulería today in the class. That's what we're dancing, by the way. So this thing that you guys just did is a hemiola. It's an ancient Greek word that means ratio of 3 to 2. That's it, yeah? And so flamenco's changing these 3 to 2s, or 3s and 2s all the time. So you guys are taking turns, so it's called the horizontal hemiola, all right? So if you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, there you've got that horizontal hemiola, okay? If you take it, have a listen, let me see if I can. You hear that foot that's in between my claps? That's a vertical hemiola because I've got a 3 in my hands and I've got a 2 in my feet. Here's a bass, 2, 3. Everything's in 3s. 1, 2, 3, 1. Now I'm going to go 3s in my feet, 3s in my hands. Now I'm going to go 3s everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm subdividing. You got the 2. Do you hear him do the 2s while I'm doing the 3s? His low face are in between mine. Yes! And so that's exactly what's happening in flamenco. Somebody's doing the 3s and somebody's doing the 2s. And your brain has to have like the 3s going like this and the 2s going like this all the time at the same time. And then it comes out in your body, it comes out in your music, it comes out in your singing, and that's where the shonakete lies. How well do you strike those accents where they need to be in between all that crossing, right? Because it's not about the metronome, it's about the feeling that you can put into the music. All right, let's do this real quick and then I'll ask for questions, so think of your good questions. You guys play the 3s and don't stop. We need a lot of foot, all right? Don't stop. Pay attention to each other's feet and speed here. Pay attention to each other's feet. Pay attention to one another. Okay? Keep going. We're going to do 2s. 1, 2, 1, 2. Pay attention to one another on this side. Don't pay attention to them. What just happened. If you're a musical person and you know what to call that musically, that's fine. You can tell everybody the word and look really smart. But if you don't know the word, you can tell me a feeling. Happy. All right. Anybody else know another word?
The 3s and the 2s, like polyrhythms.
There's the musical word. It's a polyrhythm. Yes. What do you play?
Piano.
Good job, yes. So there's polyrhythm. You guys have one rhythm, they have the other. And in there, the accents go in 2 different places, right? So if you guys have your accent, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. We're going to call the accent your foot. That's why I said you need a lot of foot. Let's go. Listen to when your feet correspond with theirs and when they don't. Together. 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 playing with that quarter note level of rhythm right here, but when we go to do our footwork, or when the guitarist is playing, or when the singer is taking care of the melismas in the cante and the singing, everybody's dealing with how do we take this 3 and 2 thing and stack it down into the rhythm, right? And even though I just used the word down, that's not the idea of vertical yet. The idea of vertical is when you take the 2s and 3s and you superimpose them and you get 4-count music. And you get this thing that sounds like. You got that? What's that one? Do you know that one? Say it again?
I said clapping.
Oh, okay, I thought you were going to say clave. Yeah, the clave. So clave is an example of what happens when you take 2s and 3s and you play them at the same time, and you get kind of a set rhythm that takes place. And clave is a popular rhythm in a lot of music that you might hear, like salsa music and other things. I'm not going to get into that portion of
Well, no, it's
arts.
the basics of a lot of Caribbean music, particularly Cuban.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what we call it cinquillo, from cinco in Spanish. And it comes from, originally, if it's Afro-Cuban, from Africa.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's also pretty foundational to jazz. The
Right.
idea of the syncopation, the contratiempo, the offbeat there, and lots of other music. It got into our rock and roll music in this country. It's across the board. Okay, so I wanted you guys to embody that little bit of rhythm and know this idea, this hemiola is the thing that kind of ties together a lot of different styles of music and dance around the world. Whether it's this vertical or this horizontal thing, it's a fascinating idea, and in flamenco we embody it in many different ways. And in other dance forms and other music forms as you go across the world, I hope you guys will ask the question, hey, is that hemiola thing in there too? Because when you start to unpack that, and again, you look at the dance as the text, you look at the music as the text, you'll find out about a lot of people and a lot of places in the world throughout history. And I'm going to stop there and ask for questions if you guys have them. Y'all can have a seat if you want, and we have just a few short minutes for questions.
Well, thank you so much, Julie. That was great.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Somebody asked me a question. Oh, sorry. Let me lift. Yes.
Well, how you feel after this workout? It's just like going to the gym.
You guys are counting the 2s and 3s in the gym now, right? No, I'm not. Does any of this remind you of anything that you guys have talked about in class so far? Mm-hmm. Can you think of one thing that reminds you of what you talked about in class so far?
I mean, we've talked about the 2 and the 3 before, so.
What have you guys discussed about it? Do you remember?
We talked a little bit about compass
Yeah.
and how the down beats and the up beats do a little differently, but we had talked about it. We had never practiced it.
There you go. Our movements, the stuff that I showed you today, so like downbeats and upbeats. So the movement, this is a llamada, right? This is the thing that gets everybody going, right? But the end of the llamada is the thing that communicates what comes next. And this, in my opinion, is kind of a throwback to the African roots of flamenco, because in the drumming practices, there's a hook that comes after. There are 2 parts of the rhythm, and there's a hook that comes at the end of one of the parts of the rhythm that says we're changing now. All right. So if you have a normal in flamenco, normal, it becomes normal because you repeat it. Right? This is the thing that I'm doing right now, and you're expecting me to do another one, right? And so as long as I keep doing this, you know whatever you're doing, you're playing guitar, you're singing, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, right? But then as soon as I change it, you know, hey, she just broke her normal. She's going to do something differently. And that's the hook. The downbeat and the upbeat in flamenco, they correspond with the movement. And so the movements that you guys have today, they carry a ton of meaning. It doesn't mean like, it has like this story meaning or an emotional meaning necessarily. It means in the terms of the communication that we're doing within the musicians and dancers, it has meaning so that we all expect the same thing or a change to come next. And that goes very much with the compass.
I have the impression that when we watch the documentary Gurumbe, just coming up in a couple of weeks, we'll be watching it in class, many of these things will become more clear. Because so far we've watched, just little clips, from YouTube. Palo festero, el this is hondo, but just to have an idea, from superficial. So, yeah, you'll see all these things more clearly you'll understand after the viewing that documentary.
And then as you watch flamenco in the future, sometimes you'll see flamenco in the theater and it's a choreography, it's a composition of music, it's a recitation, but a lot of times it's improvised. And so as you watch, maybe look what's going on, not so much the beautiful bailar or the handsome bailar up in the front, right? But watch what's happening with musicians, what body parts are they watching of the dancer who's in front of them, right? And a lot of the times they're on the feet, because the feet are going to tell the story, are going to communicate what's coming next. And so I hope that this informs you a little bit of how you watch flamenco in the future, and then how you watch Gurumbe when it comes up. Fantastic film.
So you mean that when the guitar player is playing and the cantador singing, they look at the feet of the... okay.
There's the whole body. The whole body will communicate. If I have my normal here, and this is one of the things that goes into like being a good dancer in a tablao, okay? In an improvised setting, right? This is my normal, right? And my feet are not moving so much, right? And so then if I want to set up a llamada, I need to break my normal and get really big. And then I'm going to communicate through that big movement backwards that I'm changing. So I'm using my whole body to communicate that, but definitely my feet. Here's my normal in my place, da 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 da, and I'm here, and then I'm going to step back, right? I've broken my normal position and my movement. If I take that movement very small, just my feet, and I just walk backwards really small, it's much more difficult to read. So it's the difference between communicating clearly and mumbling, but I can use my whole body to communicate, and then the feet also are part of that exaggerated movement to show what's the difference between the normal and the I call it the giddy up. The giddy up, we're about to have a llamada. The llamada to the llamada. Yeah, so they're watching the bodies. There's also this little pellizco in the body up here. I didn't teach you guys this today. Da da da, di da 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 da, di da 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 da. And then we took 3 steps, right? There's a warning to that. Di ga da ga da, di ga da ga da, di ga da ga da. Did you see my warning? Di ga da ga da. And so those warnings are a little bit different from dancer to dancer, but they give they catch the eye of the people whom they are accompanying and who are accompanying them, so that everybody knows, hey, something's about to happen. Absolutely. Yes. All right. Yes.
Please.
If you're dancing with someone else, how do you signal that change without hitting them?
So, okay, so there are different ways to do flamenco dance. There's the choreography that I talked about, right? And in that case, everybody agrees ahead of time about what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, and they can like choreograph it down to their pinky fingers if they want, right? So then everybody knows. But if you're going to dance improvisationally with another person, that doesn't happen so often. It can happen. And there's an expectation. So like this song that we studied today is Bulería, and there's a common step. There are many variations of that step, but everybody knows, and everybody knows that about a certain point in the song, nobody's sitting there keeping a tally or anything, but hey, we've come to that part in the song where we could expect for all of us to do this together, and we do it about 3 times because we know that that's the expectation, and then we're going to get ready to call our llamada. And so it's based on expectations. Everybody, it's like driving. You study that rule book and you got to drive, right? And so one way to like keep from hitting each other is to dance face to face. Raise your right arm for me. Now cross it over your body. And your left. And your right. Are they going to go that way?
Other way.
No, right arm. Cross it that way. That's it. Now reverse it. There you go. We'll never hit each other. Yeah. And so there comes an expectation in there. Whereas if we stood side by side, it'd be a different story. Yeah. So a lot of times in that improvisation, you're eyeball to eyeball with your partner, and you're dealing with expectations that your partner probably knows. It has happened to me before when I've gone out and either that partner didn't do what I expected. That happens a good bit. I mean, the expectations aren't always followed or fulfilled or whatever. And then the very good dancer just goes, all right, ole, yeah, ole, and you just stand still right here, right? And you wait and you read your partner and you see what's going on, and then you add your movement back into it. Yeah, a lot of action and reaction. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for the question. Any other questions?
No.
All right. I have a question. Oh, it's 3:06. The class is over at 3:05, right?
Yeah, we have to more or less be going. What's your question?
Okay. What was the most difficult part of today, and what was the most surprising part? That's all. That was difficult or surprising?
It was surprising, not difficult.
Okay, right on. Anybody else have a comment? Difficult, hard, surprising, enjoyable?
You enjoy it, really?
Yeah, it was fun.
Is it good?
I like your smile.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie. Okay, big applause, please.
Gracias, Julie. Julie, ¿te quieres presentar?
Sí.
Una breve presentación, sabiendo que te va a ver seguramente gente de la Peña Juan Breva, que son especialistas en flamenco, y te felicito porque has hecho una clase preciosa de pedagogía del flamenco.
Wow.
Preciosa, muy fácil de entender y con mucha teoría y con mucha comparación, muy original, con el swing y todo lo que nos has contado, de la música afroamericana.
Bueno, gracias. Es que yo asistí muchas clases con mis maestros, Juan Paredes y Meida Goldberg, y también yo tengo un muy buen profesor de la historia del flamenco, Juan Vergillos, y mis profesores y maestros aquí, incluido de Javier Albo, yo aprendí mucho de ellos, sí. Y gracias por venir y por la oportunidad de compartir un poquito de flamenco y nada, pues...
Y Julie, ¿cuál es tu nombre completo?
Mi nombre, yo me llamo Julie Gaelle Baggenstoss.
Ven, Javier también, para que os
Hola.
vean. Ven, pero Julie, no te vayas,
Oh.
no te vayas. Bueno, estamos en la universidad, la Georgia State University. Javier, presenta tú si quieres la universidad. Eres profesor de música, eres musicólogo y profesor de música aquí. Y tú, Julie, también un poco cuál es tu profesión y si estás dando clases profesionalmente aquí en Estados Unidos de flamenco.
Pues yo. Sí, soy profesor de Historia de la Música aquí en Georgia State University y soy de Madrid y estoy haciendo ahora este seminario sobre flamenco para alumnos que no son music majors, es decir, que no se dedican a la música, tienen están en otras facultades y lo estamos pasando muy bien porque estamos intentando investigar, hay una nueva línea de investigación relativamente nueva en flamencología, que es buscar las conexiones entre flamenco y música de otros lugares, en particular la música de África. Y eso es un poco el énfasis de este seminario.
Qué interesante. ¿Cómo se llama el seminario y en qué marco lo tienes?
Se llama, el título es un poco general, se llama Flamenco Past and Present.
Bonito. ¿Y es con fines pedagógicos, o sea, con fines de educación o esto también
Sí.
forma parte de algún proyecto de investigación?
No tanto. Lo que sí que me gustaría es adquirir más práctica para que en el futuro a lo mejor pueda organizar un viaje de estudios al sur de España, a Sevilla, Jerez, Cádiz y ver flamenco in situ
Pues
con alumnos de aquí.
Veniros para Málaga.
Y Málaga también, como no, claro.
Que
Ronda
funciona
y
allí
tantos sitios.
en Málaga funciona la Peña Juan Breva, todas las semanas hay por lo menos 2 espectáculos flamencos y sesiones de estudio. Y Julie, ¿y tú?
Sí,
¿Me quieres contar un poco? Acércanos un poquito porque se me va.
¿Sí?
Sí,
Mejor.
está perfecto, sí.
Ok. Bueno, yo trabajo aquí como teaching artist. Es que no soy profesora, soy artista, sí, pero en las escuelas utilizo el baile flamenco, el arte del flamenco, para enseñar lecciones de otras cosas, las matemáticas, literatura, historia, cosas así. Y yo asistí clases aquí en la universidad en el programa de maestría de español.
Uh-huh. ¿Y cómo es eso de enseñar matemáticas? ¿Por aquí en la universidad o eso es como para... ¿Cómo enseñar matemáticas e historia a través del flamenco?
Sí, las matemáticas las enseño a través de la miola, el ritmo de la música del flamenco y el baile, como mostramos el ritmo en el cuerpo y pensamos en las matemáticas, en expresiones de matemáticas y escribimos bailes así, más o menos como una expresión de matemáticas. Yo no sé cómo se dice, like algebraic expressions.
Expresiones de álgebra.
Sí, como álgebra hay un sistema de convertir lo que hacemos en el cuerpo en una frase de álgebra. That's really difficult
Qué
to say.
bonito.
Maybe you edit that out.
¿Y la historia cómo la aplicas?
Ok, la historia es muy interesante y es porque a través un momentito, I lost my word in Spanish, hold on. Comercio. El comercio en el Atlántico, tenemos influencias desde Latinoamérica en el flamenco, en el cuerpo y también en el ritmo. Y hablo en las escuelas sobre estas influencias en flamenco. Y miramos a la mapa y a los países de México y Cuba y mi ciudad de Nueva Orleans, donde bailaron estas cosas antes del flamenco.
Ajá. ¿Tú eres de Nueva Orleans?
Sí.
Nacida allí.
Bueno, la verdad es que yo nací en una montaña en el estado de Tennessee, pero mi familia es de Nueva Orleans.
Ajá.
Y así yo viví en Nueva Orleans por la mayoría de mi vida. Sí,
Ajá.
mis padres son de Nueva Orleans.
¿Y tú, Javier? ¿De dónde vienes?
Yo soy de Madrid, familia de Cantabria. Me considero de los dos sitios.
Muy bien. Bueno, pues muchísimas gracias por la clase, por la oportunidad de venir para que os grabe y gracias por esta entrevista así improvisada, que seguro que va a resultar muy interesante para los miembros del proyecto Claroscuros y el resto de colaboradores.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias a vosotros.
A ti. Gracias.